What's going on, guys? It is Blink here, back with a new guide. Now, in this guide, we'll be talking about a few situations on getting the high ground back. So guys, let's get to it. Now, in this first situation, there was an opponent above me and I needed to get closer without taking damage. At first, I tried waiting to see if he would peek out enough for me to snipe him, but no luck, so I made a push. Now, you don't want to push up with just ramps because your opponent will see you the whole way and probably laser you. You want to make sure you're not showing yourself when you're building up. So what you do is block yourself with walls before your opponent peeks. Now, if you continue spamming, stay in the same spot and keep rebuilding until he's got to reload. What I do is memorize the weapon he's using, and once I know he's low on ammo, I'll make the push because the last few bullets he has aren't going to be enough to take down my materials. This gives me more time to make the push because he's going to need to reload or switch weapons, which both take a few seconds to do. Now, depending on the situation, you can keep that high ground or drop down for some shots. I ended up dropping down because I wanted to get the kill as fast as I can to avoid any third-party situations. Especially early game, you have to work fast because the longer the fight takes, the more opponents will show up. Now, in this next situation, I get dropped down when I try to build up, and when your opponent's relatively close, you have to make sure you're building a roof above you to avoid taking damage, and that double ramp will in most situations be mandatory. Now, my opponent started shooting at my top ramp, and what you want to do is turn around the moment he starts taking shots, or he'll either get some solid damage onto you or drop you down by shooting out the ramp you're on. The moment I turned around, I started placing walls everywhere, and as I did that, I kept building up slowly because what you have to realize is that your opponent's taking shots, which means he's still on the same level. So as long as you can cover yourself as you get a little higher, you can usually get that high ground back easily. Just make sure you're building in the right type of cover. Most players will get eliminated when they're on the low ground because they try getting the high ground back and they forget to protect themselves as they do it. It's actually one of the most common ways of getting eliminated. Being good at regaining the high ground is super important, and the cover you build is a bundle you need to master when building up. Now, I want to explain why I never built walls under my ramps after I ramped up. And the reason for this is because on the other side, I can see my opponent also building. If I added walls, it might have given him time to ramp up over me. I know he's on the same level as me, so he's not able to shoot my ramps down, therefore the walls or floors underneath won't matter. My goal is to stretch the last two ramps above his, which is what I was successfully able to do. I then edited my way down for those surprise shots, and he never expected it. In this next example, I'll be breaking a few things down. So once his opponent placed a staircase above me, I placed the floor down and placed another one right beside me. That way I'm not underneath my opponent's ramp and I'm more free to build myself up. Now, the moment I placed two staircases, I quickly turned around and walked backwards as I built walls behind me. This is that cover you need to build because when your opponent's above you, he would have probably had an easier angle on you, especially if you're not building yourself cover as you're building up. You'll just end up being in big trouble. Now, I was able to get the high ground, and what I'm doing now is spotting for a good angle I can take shots at, or any materials I can break that would drop my opponent down. He was a few floors under me, and the moment he exposed himself, he was looking for trouble. He knows I'm directly above him, and he doesn't build cover from above. What I would have done in his situation is most likely added a floor above me, that way I can double ramp myself up without being exposed. He was gambling on me not being able to see him yet, and a lot of players will do that. They'll attempt to build up because they think by the time their opponent spots them, they'll already have that cover behind them. Exactly what this player ended up doing. The moment I took shots, he turned around and tried building walls behind him. It was a little too late for that, and even when he attempted it, he ended up placing them farther than he should have. So I was still able to take shots at him. This example was cool because you guys can see one of the ways you can block your back when building up, and then you can see the wrong way of executing it, which is how he ended up doing it. Now, this last example was shown in my game of the day yesterday, but it's a great example, so I decided to go in depth with it. I'll be talking about the times where your opponent's way above you in a build battle. So right off the bat, a lot of the times trying to build yourself up won't work out because your opponent can apply a lot of pressure, not allowing you to even get close. In this example, once my opponent got decently above me, I tried shooting out his materials to attempt to drop him down to my level. Now, it didn't work out and he ended up dropping me down. So I'm now all the way at the bottom and I'm not going to attempt to rebuild right back up because he's way too high. What I end up doing is taking a few shots at any of the materials and instantly reload my weapon. What this does is make him think I'm trying to shoot down the structure. So what he ends up doing is dropping down, and as he gets lower, I bouncer my way up. That way he doesn't have that much time to react to my bouncer play. Right here, this allowed me to get above him because of the fake breakdown, and I got the instant high ground with the bouncer. Now, say I didn't have the bouncer, then I could have kept shooting at the materials until my opponent got a lot lower. Once he got low enough, go for that high ground build up again. This would have reset the whole fight and you guys are now having another build off. The last thing you could have done is just leave the fight. If you can get yourself away from the structure, your opponent won't have the high ground anymore. You've now reset the whole fight, and the next time your opponent spots you, you'll both have a fresh start on the build fight. So guys, that's it for this guide. These were just some of the in-depth situations you might get into when fighting off for that high ground. In the future, I'll be sure to have more high ground guides coming because there are plenty of different situations you can encounter. A like and a sub will be greatly appreciated, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and night, and I'll see you on the next one.